Good afternoon, members, and welcome to our first edition of GPL 360. My name is Nick Luddington. I'm the manager of golf for those who haven't met me yet, and I'm here with CEO Matthew Loughnane, and we're going to talk about all things GPL. We'll start off with round one. Matt, you want to take us through round one of the men's comp?
Thanks, Nick. We thought we'd do a bit of a background highlight of the first three rounds before we sort of move into the fourth, and I've got round one. So I just wanted to cover off some of the matches. In our first match, the Polishers versus the KGC Elite was basically a rematch of last year's grand final. After the controversy of the drawn match and going to countback, this is virtually the grudge match, the Carlton Collingwood type setup of the GPL. So we had, in true tradition, the Polishers getting over the KGC Elite by 1 point, 135 to 134. Rob Simonson starring for the Polishers with 38. Havel Rowe with 35, put in his best effort but couldn't get over the line. In the other matches, the latecomers, who are one of the new teams in the competition last year, went down comfortably to the Moondogs, 134 to 115. We had the Fockers, who are quite loud when it comes to this competition. They come up against the Gunners and beat them convincingly, 141 to 119. Ian Beath with a score of 39 was the best for the Fockers.
Has been in good form of late.
The Gentlemen Golfers, who have struggled traditionally in this competition and have started off the same way they finished last year with a 138 to 143 loss to the Rat Pack. Best scores, Bill Frost started the season well with 39 points. For the Gentlemen Golfers, Peter Riley with 38 points was the best for them. Hard Yakka, who were one of the standout teams of last year, finished on top but didn't get the job done in the finals. They've started well this year with 149 to 126.
Sounds like the Tigers, man.
Win, yes. Well, I would have thought so, actually.
Hopefully the Blues can get over the line tonight.
Exactly. They defeated the once were legends 149 to 126. Last year's MVP, Graham Freestone, Chris Judd of the competition, started well again, 40 points for the Hard Yakka. Once were Warriors was a mixture of 30s and couldn't get the job done. We move over to probably my favourite name, Norfolk and Good. We might have to beep a couple of those out this year, but they went down in a close match against the Guzzlers. Sam Canellan with 36 points was the best for the Guzzlers and helped them get over the line. And in our last match, we had the Good, the Bad and the Ugly have a 1 point loss, unfortunately, to Motley Crew, 127, with Peter Cranich being the best for Motley Crew with 33 points. And that was round one.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, in round two, we had the Polishers have a 1 point win over the Moondogs. Phil Abbott started with 38 points, while Terry Ward led the Moondogs from the front with 37. We had KGC Elites get over the Gunners by 11 points. Dick Curtis with 38 points. Joe Oliver had 36, so quite even across the board. KGC Elite and the Gunners struggled. 35, 34, 33 and 28 got in there as the fourth best score.
Was good, Nick, that John Knox, who's talked up a fairly big game in the off-season with his MVP last year, didn't get a mention in round one, slotted in with 33 points in round two. So
good to see.
Probably need to lift his performance a little bit for a double MVP, but he's made a mention.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, Matt. Special comments.
Special comments.
We had the latecomers who were quite unlucky. They had a large score of 145, but were outdone by the Rat Pack with Trevor Rush having a massive 41 points and Peter Gubert following up with 37. John Evans, who will make a special appearance later on in the show, had 38 for the latecomers with our captain John Doggett, 37. Once Were Legends, 142, defeated the Fockers, 137. We had David Jarm with 38 and Peter Luton for the Fockers, top scored with 38 points as well. We had the Gentlemen Golfers 136 defeat the Guzzlers 124. Phil Francis top scored with 38, seems to be a popular score in round 2, with the Guzzlers struggling across the board. For example, their 4th best player had 26 points, so the Guzzlers have some work to do. In our second last match of the round, we had Hard Yakka defeat Motley Q by 13 points, which is surprising considering only 2 members of the Motley Q team got on the park. So well done to Bruce Death and Russell Burton.
Started well, Hard Yakka, haven't they?
Definitely have 2 from 2. And in the last match, a 2-point win to now
Fucking good.
Yep. Tim Doohan top scored 37 points, with Brian Rowarth with 36 for the good, bad and the ugly. And that wraps up round 2.
Okay, moving on to round 3. First game we had the Polishers, who were undefeated, versus the Gunners, who hadn't won a game in the first 2 rounds. And true to form, the Polishers 145 had a 4-point win over the Gunners. High performers in that match was Shane Favalora again with 39 points, Ian Stewart with 36. In the second match, we had the Moondogs versus the Rat Pack. Rat Pack got over the line again for their 3rd win in a row. Trevor Rush, who has had a lightning start to the season and must be one of the favourites for the MVP
Certainly,
early. He had 36 points. Jim Pitt, the senior stalwart, had 35. For the Moondogs, who are unlucky, going down by 3 points, we had Chris Hansen being the top scorer there with 37 points. Third game, KGC Elite, who have won 2 out of their first 3 games, with Harold Rowe 36 points and Graham Ballard 36 points, getting them over the line against the Once Were Legends, who had 130 points. Sam Tropiano was the best for the Once Were Legends with 34. Ian Picken chimed in for 33 but couldn't get the job done. The latecomers, who are 0 from 3, so the captain and president need the lift. 131 were beaten comfortably by the Guzzlers, probably my favourite name. Ed Frost 39 points, and you wouldn't believe it, John Nelson 35 points were the best for the Guzzlers. The Fockers were beaten comfortably by Motley Crew, who had their second win for the season. Sorry, not first. We had Bruce Death with 38 points from Motley Crew. Greg Cribbies had 34 points for the Fockers, but it was a comfortable 13-point win to Motley Q. In the second last match of the round, the Gentlemen Golfers played at a draw with the good, the bad and the ugly. Jeff Knott with 37 points was the best for the good, the bad and the ugly. And in our last match, a 3rd win in a row and a strong start to the season, Hard Yakka. Graham Freestone, our last year's MVP, started very, very strong with 36 points. Peter Myers with 35 beat Norfolking Good by 1 point, 140 to 139. So
very delicately said there.
Thanks, Nick. So after 3 rounds, how do we look leaderboard-wise?
Leaderboard-wise, we have Hard Yakka, Rat Pack and the Polishers all undefeated. KGC Elite, Motley Q and the Guzzlers. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Gentlemen Golfers, Moondogs and Norfolk and Good, as well as the Fockers and Once Were Legends have all got 1 win on the board.
Yep.
And the Good, Bad and Ugly have had a draw and 2 losses, and the Latecomers and the Gunners have yet to have a win. And we'll now move to Latecomers, our guest spot for today's episode. We have John Evans coming in. We had filmed this earlier, so we'll go now to John.
Take it away, John.
We would like to welcome Latecomers member John Evans to our first edition of the GPL 360. John, the Latecomers lost by 19 points in round 1. Lost by 4 points in round 2 and lost by 7 points in round 3. In the first round, the top score was 30. Yourself got in on 26 as the 4th best player. You were a little bit stiff in round 2. You had 145 points and would have beaten probably most teams, but you came up against the Rat Pack. And in round 3, Peter Balharry managed to have 39, Steve Kay 35, yourself 30, and John Doggett managed to squeeze in on 27. You're sitting second bottom on the ladder, and you were eliminated in round 1 of the knockout. Can you just tell me what exactly is going on at the latecomers?
Well, look, Nick, most people are wondering, I know, because we were quite warm favourites to win this. And what you will see in the results that you've just read is that there's 2 names that consistently pop up on the top 4, that being Steve Kay and myself, of course, really. So what we have been disappointed in is some of our more esteemed players. Like we've had some of the luminaries from the club in the form of the president and the captain, and they've barely given a nod because they've been gallivanting around in New Zealand and enjoying themselves, and they've come back and their form has not been good. And it's like Ken Doggett, like he's been away on holidays and come back with a crook back, and so we can perhaps understand that, and so he's been out. So, and our captain, Peter Balharry, he's left a bit to be desired too. So we're looking for a big turnaround. We've been trying to call team meetings and a few people have not attended, so we've been missing out on a bit of harmony. The other thing is we've got a deliberate strategy. We've been watching how Richmond went last year when they won 16 in a row, and we think you wouldn't write us off yet, as we're rightly called the latecomers, and we will come late and hard in the finishing rounds of this, so don't get too carried away yet.
Well, thanks for that summary, John. So pretty much we need a lift from John Isaac, the president. We need more consistent performances from John Doggett. Hopefully Ken will be...
Yes, and Tim, we also need him to step up.
I have to admit, I haven't seen Tim's name on the Trouble the Scoreboard as of yet.
Well, I'm not one to make things public about people like that, so hopefully this will be edited out. But Tim, you've heard the word there. We'll be looking for a big improvement. But I'm sure we come. We're always, historically, we're late starters but big finishers, hence the term latecomers.
Very good. Well, John, I appreciate you coming on GPL 360 and good luck for the remainder of the season.
Thank you very much, Nick.
These guys are on fire.
Okay, now we have the segment Who's Hot, Matt. Now these players must have played all three games. There's a couple of guys that probably should have been mentioned here, but haven't played all 3. So I've got listed here Max Hardy from Hard Yakka started off 37, 34, 34. Trevor Rush from the Rat Pack started poorly in round 1 with 30, but has bounced back with 40 and 36, 2 massive scores. Havel Rowe from KJC Elite has been solid all season. He's had 35, 33 and 36, and he's probably the reason why KJC Elite are 2 from 3. And Rob Simonson with the Polishers has gone 38, 36 and 35, and again, that's probably why the Polishers are 3-0.
Yep.
And Matt, you've got a segment coming up that's Who's Under the Pump?
These guys need some serious help. Simon, can you help these guys?
Who have you got there for me?
Well, Nick, we like to, as part of GPL 360, we like to pump players up who are performing well, but we also like to highlight the players that aren't performing well. So we've got a new segment called Under the Pump. Again, must have played all 3 rounds, and I've got 3 in the barrel for after the first 3 rounds that really need to lift for the remainder of the season to make sure that their teams are successful. First one off the cab is Bob Davis from the Gentleman Golfers. Had scores of 25, 27 and 33. I speak to Bob most Wednesdays. Bob, lift. Second, from the Rat Pack, Graham Craig, coming back out of injury. No excuse, 27, 23, 29.
Merciless.
Graham, need the lift.
Graham, you're in the Rat Pack, the 3-0. You are getting absolutely carried.
Yep. Third player from the Gunners. Gunners are sitting at the bottom of the ladder with a percentage of 91.33. Chris Moot from the Gunners 24, 33, 25. Not helping that situation. Chris Boot, need the lift. In addition to a Who's Not and Under the Pump, this week we've got a special little segment that we like to call Gone Missing. And Nick will give us a little bit of background.
So we've got Ross Henshaw from Norfolk and Good. He has played 7 times since the commencement of the GPL season, but never on a Wednesday. Out of these 7 rounds, he's had a 36, a 38, another 36, and a 41. Ross, you're part of Norfolk and Good. They've lost 2 out of 3 matches.
Ross, come on.
They've lost one by 3 points and the other by a point. At some stage, did you think they might need any one of those scores? Ross, where are you? Your team needs you.
Come on, Ross. Okay, moving on to the women's GPL. It's fantastic this year that we've got 13 teams, which is great. In our first round, we had the Pearlers 123 versus the Swingers 127. Highest score in that match was Janet Jacobson with a score of 33, and Manuel with a score of 32 was also solid for the Swingers. Looking at their side, they do have a number of the women's pennant side, so they could be quite strong this year.
Very consistent, the Swingers, they'll be hard to get knocked out of the knockout, I would have thought.
Yep. Moving on to the Birdie Num Nums. They had a solid win, continuing on from their season last year with 130 versus the QTs, 122. Robin Weller with 34 was the best for the Birdie Num Nums, so they've started off their season well. Third match of the round was Hit and Miss versus the Early Birds, with Hit and Miss getting over the line by 10 points, 140 to 130. Vice captain Andrea Moore solid for the Hit and Miss with 36. Also Bev Murray with 36 as well was good for the Hit and Miss. The Q Ramblers had a solid first win versus probably my favourite name of a team in the whole GPL, the Silver Foxes, 137 to 122. Karen Hill had a good season last year and started off well this year with 37 points. Good work, Karen. Fairway Phillies had the biggest win of the first round of the GPL in the women's section versus the Iron Ladies with 127. Brenda Alzaka with 42, Brenda, had the most points for the round, so congratulations, good work.
Fun fact with the Fairway Phillies, Matt, their name was the QTs, but there was a bit of an issue with the name changes, so they've changed to the Fairway Phillies, and I feel like they've really taken stride with that.
Started well, top of the ladder, good job. The Q Birdies, they had a bye in the first round, but a special mention to Angie Byrne, who had 40 points, great start to the season. And in the last match, the Derwents and the Go Girls played out a tie with 122 each, with Anne Isaacs being the best score in that match with 35 points. Just moving on, Nick, just some predictions for the remainder of the women's. I thought it'd be a good time in the first round to see what you think, see who's going to win, see who you think will win MVP.
I've got a few here, Matt. Now, just keep in mind, viewers, this was done before round 1, so if I hadn't seen these results, I'm possible to change my mind. My premier was the Hit and Miss, so I'm pretty happy with that. They burst out of the blocks for 140, second highest score of the round. My smoky for the premiership was the Derwents. Considering they couldn't get more than 3 ladies on the park, I'm not too sure about that.
They'll lift.
Very good. MVP, I've got Janet Jacobson. Watched her play pennant at Rosanna on Friday. Had a massive win, 5-4, so I reckon she's going to have a stellar season. And my smoky is Ellen McCrone. She's the captain of the Q Birdies. They were the last team to enter, so I think they're running with a bit of momentum.
Yep.
For the knockout, I reckon the Early Birds will get up there. I reckon they're led by the consistent Hillary Hodgetts, and that consistency will pay off with her team. And the smoky Birdie Num Nums, their team's too good not to get a mention.
Yep. I'm probably going to go my one prediction for the Premier. I'm going to stick with the Swingers. I think
littered with pennant stars.
Littered with pennant stars. A lot of experience in that team. They are my pick for this season.
Very good. Well, thanks viewers for tuning in to this week's, or the first edition of the GPL 360.
Hopefully not last.
And good luck for the remainder of the season.
Good luck.